So I'm actually I do mostly wholesale. Well, occasionally there'll be a project that we will flip, but I don't. I mean, I don't touch a hammer or anything. I'm not that guy. It's basically like you're selling the contract for a fee, and then they're the ones that take it over, and then they do the flipping. So it's more of just an acquisitions type business, but we do some flips. If the project is right and the numbers are right, definitely.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Want to attract and convert more leads? Want to learn how digital PR, branding, and SEO can establish and build your brand identity? Welcome to the Market Movers Building Brands and Links with Linkify podcast. We answer these questions and help you ramp up your brand visibility and credibility. Let's cut through the noise and make your business the talk of the town. We're your hosts, Nick and Chris. Let's get this show on the road.
Welcome to the Market Movers podcast. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Adrian Pedraza, founder of the California Homebuyer, a direct-to-seller real estate company specialized in distressed properties across Southern California. Welcome to the show, Adrian.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Nick. How are you guys?
Doing good. Adrian, thanks for coming on. To kick it off, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and about California Homebuyer?
Sure. Yes. So like Chris said, it's a real estate company. I'm a licensed real estate broker, but I primarily focus on acquiring distressed residential real estate throughout the Southern California, LA metro area, and I'm a specialist in just basically just making cash offers, buying properties that are dilapidated and require somebody who's going to go in and fix it up and resell it. So I've been doing that for about 8 years now, coming up on 8 years. So it's definitely was learned a lot through my dad who's been doing it pretty much his entire life, and wanted to kind of do it on my own and start my own business, but also still work with him. And so that's kind of a little bit about me and the business.
That's awesome. I've got so many side questions, but I will try and keep, because I love the idea of flipping. I've been in and out of a couple of properties that went well, but I'm always interested in the stories where they don't go as well. But okay, walk us through how you got.
Wait, first, you're interested in overseeing flipping. You're not interested in doing any flipping yourself.
No.
I'm pretty sure you had someone install your curtains, right?
What's wrong with
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. My dad just did some blinds for me yesterday as well. But yeah. Well, hang on, Adrian, you're not doing the actual work, are you? You're accounting that.
Right. So I'm actually I do mostly wholesale. So yeah, occasionally there'll be a project that we will flip, but I don't. I mean, I don't touch a hammer or anything. I'm not that guy. But it's mostly wholesale. So and I mean, people who are real estate would kind of know. It's basically, so I'm just acquiring the property and then I wholesale it to another investor. So I don't actually take on the project myself. I just give them it's basically like you're selling the contract for a fee, and then they're the ones that there still has to have some profit margin for them, for them to take it over, and then they do the flipping. So it's more of just an acquisitions type business, but we do some flips if the project is right and the numbers are right, definitely.
If you see that beauty where you're like, oh, we can really, there's some real margin in this one. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It has to be the right project, so.
Okay, well, why don't you walk us through how you got started then? I think you obviously mentioned working alongside your dad. But yeah, what was it like trying to acquire those first customers in the early days, and what's that progression of that client acquisition and whole business model look like over the years?
Sure. Yeah. So initially, I mean, my introduction to real estate was through my dad, and he's an immigrant, and he's from Mexico, and so I'm he basically just came here, barely spoke any English, and I guess that's kind of where he saw a way to make money, and it was through real estate investments. And so he's been doing it since the 90s, been through the cycles, and I just growing up, I saw the way he kind of had his own business and worked on his own time, and I was like, I like that, I didn't have to go in the office, and the entrepreneur lifestyle. But of course, there's the challenges that come with that, which I'm learning, and lessons I've learned. But yeah, so I kind of learned through him a little bit, but my first actual job was just working at a large acquisitions company here in Southern California. Back in like 2018 or so. It wasn't, now it's becoming a more common model, but there's these large investment brokerages that they hire, agents with pretty much no experience, and then you basically just you work on the disposition side. So you work on like trying to sell the properties to investors, and then after a while they kind of promote you to, then you're trying to find the properties yourself. So in the beginning, the way to find properties was very basic. It was just through on market, so just offering on listed properties and dealing with agents and things like that. So you could definitely get deals that way. It's just very, you're basic. It's not a bad way. I mean, you can like I said, you can get deals that way. But the trend, there was I definitely wanted to make a transition to dealing with more off market properties. You can get deeper discounts. So it was just a lot of relationships with real estate agents. Fostering those relationships, and then after a while at that company, that's when I decided that, hey, I kind of want to just, I know what to do. I can just do it myself. And that's when I started my own business. So it's, it's definitely, like you guys know, entrepreneurs, you got to, I have to, I'm always growing and trying to find ways to improve. And I think in the beginning it was definitely more of a kind of like a hobby thing. Like I didn't have any structure, and I didn't. You have to treat it like a business, not a hobby, especially in real estate. So, but that's why I was saying earlier about the how I've definitely switched over to what I'm doing now is focusing more on probate real estate. So
okay, let's dive in more into the strategy, how you were finding them. When you say off market, I'm thinking of things like sending out flyers, knocking on doors where clearly the house is being taken care of. Yeah. I remember seeing like the signs driving around that said like cash for homes. Yep. Are those the kind of strategies you're doing in the early days?
So not so much. I mean, I've done door knocking. Yeah, definitely. I've done in the early days, it was more like, I would say, I wasn't doing direct to seller. I was still just going for so like let's say an agent, right, has a listing, but then they don't put it on the market. Okay. They just, right, it's called a pocket listing. So that's kind of where most of my deals came from. And those are it was I guess if you know your market really well, you can kind of tell, like, which areas, right, are going to be a little more desirable. Like, that's the thing about being in wholesale. It's like you're kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to the market and where the market's going, because the investors always kind of get that feeling first of like, oh, the market's not doing so well. The market, they always kind of know that. So being in that space, you really have to be tapped into that. Yeah, then I started switching directly to the actual homeowners, and but I didn't do so much paid marketing. So I was trying to find ways to just take advantage of free data, public data, and then market to that, whether it was through cold calling or direct mail.
So what would be the source of that data? What would you be looking for? I got approached years ago in my old house with a leaflet followed by a phone call saying, your house is like prime for being sold. Are you looking for an offer? And I was actually at that exact time. I just was going through a separation with my then fiance, so it was perfect timing, and we got like a really good price, and it all worked out well. But yeah, I'm wondering, what are you looking for? Is there like a key sort of ingredient that you're looking for those off-market properties, and how are you how are you finding that in data that you acquire?
Yeah, so that's why I've switched to probate. So are you guys familiar with probate? Do they have probate in the UK, or is it called different? Is it something
where
different?
It's seized? Is it where a property's seized?
It's basically where when somebody passes away and they own real estate, or they own any assets, right? If they don't, even if they have a will, but like let's say they don't have a will, it needs to go through a court system. It's called probate. So it's just determining it's just making sure that the assets go to the right people, the heirs. So the only way to bypass it really is if you have it in a trust. That's the way that. But so basically, somebody passes away and the heirs inherit the house, and it's very, very common that those properties are sold. So they're right away. It's okay. This property that's the motivation. They're going to sell. So sometimes they sell with the listing agent. Sometimes they are open to a cash offer because sometimes, the nature of these properties, right? They, like if you inherit a house and you live, hundreds of miles away, the house needs a lot of work. All those little motivations kind of add up, and they're much more open to selling the house for cash. So, because it has to make sense. It's not I'm not the, the pushy, salesman, sell your house for cash. Like, no, it has to make sense, for you and for me, for everybody. Or else it's, I just tell you, hey, just go list it with an agent because you're going to get more money that way.
So it could be like three siblings living hundreds of miles apart, and it's just much easier to get cash for it, not have to deal with anything, and split it amongst the inherited teas.
Yeah, exactly. So, and so if they, and especially when the property needs work, and it's it's the typical like a grandma's house, or so
needs a lot of updating. It's very outdated. Yeah,
exactly. So and if they I always tell them like, hey, if you have the money, right, because it's going to require capital for them to put into the home, and you can get more money out of it, but you got to have money and time into it. So that's kind of the little niche that I got into, and I really like it because it's a very long like conversion cycle, cash to conversion cycle. Like you can't call a lead and then that's the other thing, the nature of this data. I'm calling them as soon as possible, as soon as they file and it becomes public record. So they are basically, and you're dealing with somebody who had a loved one pass away. So you have to be a little sensitive, but also at the same time, a lot of these people are ready. Them taking the action to file for probate is already them kind of saying like, I'm ready to move on with this. But it does require like, you're not going to get a contract in the first month. It's going to take like maybe a 6 to 8 month cycle. That's on average. So there's a little bit of patience in that, but I like that. Like most people, right? Any way to kind of weed out the competition is I look for those opportunities. So that's why I like it.
Okay. So at some point you started focusing on your website, bringing leads into you. Can you tell us how that has looked and the strategies you've had there?
Oh yeah, so I totally forgot about that. So that was so I did that. Actually was the first way, so let me rewind. That was the first way that I tried to get leads, was through SEO. I did not. I kind of dabbled in the PPC, but then I realized like, oh, this is a whole nother animal. And maybe in the future we'll see, but I didn't want to do that. So SEO, I was like, well, I need a website. I think a website, right, is like, it's 2025, but when I made my website, it was like maybe 3 years ago. So I was like, I need a website. People were going to look me up, right? So that's when I started. I actually made it pretty much on my own, but over the years I've kind of hired somebody to fix it for me and develop it for me. But that was the first way that I was trying to get off-market leads, was people searching in Google, and just clicking and filling in the forms. And that's what I wanted it to be, was just kind of like that passive, like, okay, I have a website and so people can see I'm legitimate, and I get leads. Maybe it's definitely, it's kind of tapered off a little bit, but I do get leads, and I don't pay for them. I mean, I guess I've paid for them with my time in creating the website, but it's just kind of that extra source of leads that I get.
So Adrian, you're still getting some passive organic SEO leads. That's super awesome. What does the conversion cycle length look like on those organic leads compared to those that paid?
Oh,
paid
yeah,
sales?
much quicker, for the most part. Right. So, yeah, usually, as soon as I get a notification that somebody's filled in, the form and has told me that they're interested in selling, I call them right away. And I mean, it's been a learning curve sometimes because I actually, prior to getting leads that way, I didn't have much experience in dealing direct to a homeowner. I was mostly dealing with other real estate professionals and doing deals. So it's a little bit of like a learning curve there because they're a little more unpredictable and they don't really it's consumer, right? So before it was more a business to business type thing. And but I definitely lost out on some deals that I wanted to kick myself, but because they happened quick, and I just dropped the ball, and I just was not. I guess I overthink things, but they do happen a lot quicker, and they're motivated. They're ready to sell, and they're great leads. So.
You can't beat a lead that comes to you ready to take action versus you reaching out to someone saying, I know it's on the horizon at some point, so reach out when you're ready. It's a different kind of lead. So what is the makeup of the leads? Like, what percentage would you say is the online versus you proactively reaching out to Probate? How does that look?
Yeah. I mean, right now it's about. I'd say it's about 20% that have come from the website, and I'd say 80% is like the active. Yeah, it's definitely, but I want to change that because I'm going to start doing more direct mail, and I want it to be all part of this ecosystem where, I have a QR code on my mailer, and then they, go to my website or something like that. So. And that in turn helps with the SEO and the the rankings. So so it's definitely I get that deal, one or two deals every month from the SEO, but most of it is going to be from the outbound marketing.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned about part of the reason you had a website was to build and instill that trust factor. Is the cash for houses space inherently one that is less trustworthy, and how do you fight that or navigate that?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like, that's definitely a concern, because I guess like anything that you can post to a street pole advertising, there's always going to be some like, okay, this might be a scam type thing. So you see they call them bandit signs, it's cash for houses, and but I think actually it's becoming a little bit more of like there's a lot of more professional players in the industry, but definitely, there are those people who are a little hesitant. I mean, not through the website. Well, if they see your website and they fill out your form, they already know you're legitimate, and there's no apprehension there. But yeah, I can definitely like. There's a lot of stuff online, I guess, about, like I see that stuff. It's more like online, I think, that people say, they're like suspicious of it. But I haven't really encountered that, but too much in my business, I guess, just because I try to come off as professional as possible. But it's definitely out there. Like I've dealt with it myself, but yeah, it's. Definitely, the website's key, I think, so people can see you.
Yeah, I think that's every industry has some sort of segment that's like, this is the shadier part, and then there's the things that they're well done. So I think it's not unique to that space for sure. So I'm curious, how are you thinking about LLMs, AI, referrals from ChatGPT? Is that something that's on your radar? Are you starting to see? Have you had anyone reach out to you from saying, "I found you on ChatGPT"?
No, I have not. I know that's definitely starting to happen, especially like I know other people in the space that are killing it with the SEO, and that's definitely they've had leads that they found them through the ChatGPT searches, and but I personally have not. I do the, I always forget to ask them, like, oh, like, how did you
Yeah.
find me,
Yeah.
and like, what did you type in? Like, I need to know exactly what you typed in Google. I just say, oh yeah, how did you find me? And they're like, oh, just through Google. And but then I don't get that keyword, so I'm like too focused on the actual house, but I need to start asking that. So but no, I definitely know that that's like starting to happen a lot more, but it hasn't happened to me personally.
Okay, cool. That's really interesting. So, just as we wrap up, Adrian, this has been fascinating. What do you how do you feel the industry is changing? Is there anything that you're particularly excited about? Any like new strategies? You mentioned the direct to mail strategy that you're excited to be testing.
Yeah, man. How I would say it's changing. I think it's becoming more common. I want to say, because here's the thing, I see a lot more marketing now by bigger operations in some of the like key metro areas. Like I see the billboards on the buses, and I didn't really see that before. I knew like who these people were, and I knew they were operated in the market. But so I think it's becoming a little more common that people will explore that cash offer option, especially like when you go on Redfin or Zillow, and there was always that cash offer, like, get a cash offer for your house. So like it's becoming, and people even not like, they're not even in a situation that really warrants a cash offer. Like it's they kind of just want to sell, and the house is not even in bad shape. I get plenty of those leads too, where the house is in good condition, and I'm always asked, like, well, why don't you want to list it? You're gonna get more money, and they're just like, I don't want to deal with it, or it's whatever. It's like a simple reason. I'm like, okay, well, it's your your decision. So I definitely think it's becoming a more competitive. The people who are operating in it, it's less of a how'd you say, like everyone, like the major players are they have their well-oiled machines and how they do their marketing and everything. So I think it's becoming a more professional, and to survive, that's how you gotta adapt and become. What I'm excited, I think what I'm really interested in is how AI is going to shape the data, and there's already this. I know people are selling this predictive data, and basically people they take all these data points and basically they say, okay, how likely is this house going to sell based on there's hundreds of data points, right? And I you start to kind of I'm getting deep into this, but as you do more deals, you kind of start to reverse engineer, okay, this you start to see a pattern with properties and their ages, who own them, how long they've been owned. So I think, but this predictive data is kind of taking that to even another level. And I'm just like, well, if AI is getting so advanced, they're gonna, they're gonna know exactly how much they offer, the houses that are most likely to sell. And I don't know how that's gonna shape out. It's gonna be interesting. So the real estate industry is one of those things that I know a lot of the realtors, right? They don't like change as much, I guess, as other industries. So we'll see how that goes. But that's exciting.
Creatures of habit for sure that don't like change.
Yeah.
I think there is good opportunity for AI to. I don't think it will shake up the real estate space as much as other spaces, but there's definitely a lot of potential for it to make your job easier. Like those data points predicting what homes will sell for. I think that could really improve your evaluation process, reduce risk, that kind of thing. So that's something be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I even test it out sometimes. If I know what I'm going to offer on a house, I run my numbers and run the comps and all that. But then I just put it into ChatGPT, and I'm just like, hey, how much would you offer this house? And I mean, it's a little bit on the more conservative side, but I mean, it's not wrong, So
yeah.
Fascinating.
But I still think that specialized local knowledge is definitely it's not quite there yet. You know, certain streets and certain pockets, like you gotta. That's kind of where the extra money is made, and it helps a lot.
Yeah, and if you can enhance your own abilities with AI quicker and faster and more agile than the competition, then there's going to be a window of opportunity for you to make more money than ever before, probably. So that's exciting. Adrian, if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to sell their house for a ludicrous amount of cash, where can they find you? How can they reach out?
Yeah, no, just do a quick Google search, thecaliforniahomebuyer.com.
Great name, by the way.
Right there. Yeah. Thank you. And I'm the one that if you call me or reach out via email, I'm the one who will call you. It won't. There's no AI calling you yet. It's still me. So.
All right. Well, head to Google, type in the business name, give him some branded search love. That sounds perfect. Adrian, thanks so much for coming on.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
Thank you, Nick. Have a good one.